Howdy, Sam here from Sheridan Computers. In this video, I'm going to show you how to install TrueNAS SCALE 25.10 Goldeye on a UGREEN NAS DXP4800 PLUS. And to be honest, I think I've found a perfect candidate for installing TrueNAS on. So I'm a fan of TrueNAS Mini, but they have quite expensive import charges on them to get them in the UK from the States. Now, the UGREEN NAS systems are quite affordable and they are perfect for TrueNAS. So in this video, we're going to set up TrueNAS on a UGREEN NAS. I'm going to run through the configuration options because I'm not familiar with TrueNAS SCALE. I have never used it. I've always used Core, which is based on FreeBSD, and SCALE is based on Linux. So we'll do that. We'll set up a Windows share, and then we'll set up an NFS share and see if we can get connecting to it and see how well this system actually handles TrueNAS SCALE. So this video isn't sponsored by TrueNAS. I purchased a t-shirt all on my own, and neither is it sponsored by UGREEN. But it is sponsored by me, and if you'd like to hire us for any IT consulting, storage consulting, head across to SheridanComputers.com. There's a little button down here. You can click on that and you can email us.
Sheridan Computers, IT, communications, support.
Drag a browser here. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is go over to TrueNAS.com, head up to Support and Resources, and then TrueNAS Community Edition. And to proceed to download, we've got this box here, enter your email. We don't need to do that. Just click on no thank you, I've already signed up. Then select download stable, so TrueNAS 25.10.0 is the current stable. And while that's downloading, we've got release notes and checksums. And we've got this SHA256 checksum here. I'm just going to copy that, and then we'll verify it just to make sure that the TrueNAS image hasn't changed that we're downloading. Pull a console window up, and in this window, I'm just going to run SHA256 sum, and then apply that to the TrueNAS ISO, and it'll just produce the SHA256. So you can see FB1A84. FB1A84 ends in 1E713, 1E713. So that's safe. We can now go ahead and burn it to a USB stick. To do this, I'm going to use a tool called Balena Etcher, if that's how you say it. So you can do this from Windows or Linux. So head across, download it. I've already got it installed, so let me run it. So we want to flash from the ISO file, so flash from file. It popped up on the other window. And then you want to select your target, so a trusty USB stick. And choose select target. Make sure you get the right USB stick and you're not wiping something you don't want to wipe. Select it, and now we'll go ahead and press flash. So it doesn't take too long. Let it flash. Once it's finished writing to the drive, it'll do a quick verify. And you might as well let it do the verify, don't cancel it, just to make sure we've got no errors. So now we've got our media prepared, we can go ahead and boot from it. Okay, so I'm going to press Control F12. I've inserted our USB stick. I'm going to keep pressing Control F12 until we get to the boot menu. And if you're doing this on a UGREEN NAS, you're definitely going to need to go into Setup, and if we go into Advanced, and then Watchdog Settings, we need to make sure this is disabled. By default, it's enabled, and it's set to 180 seconds. And what it does is, if the UGREEN OS is not running, after 180 seconds, it will reboot. So whether you create an image or you sat in the BIOS, it will reboot if the operating system is not running. So just make sure you've got that disabled. Press F10 to save it. And then we'll keep pressing Control F12 to get to the boot menu. So we have our SanDisk, which is what we burn the TrueNAS ISO to. So I'm going to go into that. And I'm on a 4K capture card, so we get this really small text. Press Enter to continue with the install. So we have four options: install or upgrade, live shell, reboot system, or shutdown. Obviously, we want to install. And this is where you select the drive. So you can see I've got 120 gig, which was the factory installed drive, and that's the one that we're going to want to be installing to. Now, we did have two NVMe drives that we installed for cache drives when we was using UGOS. Now, we could use that because we've got two of them. We'd have a mirrored boot drive, but I'm just going to wipe the factory pre-installed drive. So be aware, doing this will wipe UGOS. If you need to know how to back it up, I have done a video on backing it up and a restore just to prove that it works. So choose your drive. It's a warning that it's going to erase all the data. That's fine. Administrative user. So this is to log into the TrueNAS Web Interface. So I'm just going to leave it as TrueNAS admin. If you want to change it, you can change the username there. Set yourself a password. Don't forget it. So now we can see the bottom left, it says formatting the disk. We've got creating the boot pool, creating the data set. Now it's extracting the image. Performing post-install tasks. So installing the bootloader. So TrueNAS installation on NVMe 2N1 succeeded. Please reboot and remove the installation media. So at this point, we can go to reboot system. I'm going to pull this USB stick out. So TrueNAS scale 25.10. Once we've booted up and actually get the IP address, we can put the keyboard away and I won't need the console no more. Wow, that's small. Because I'm using a 4K capture card, I'll be able to zoom that in post edit. Okay, Zen.1.10.104. So at this point, I can get rid of the keyboard and come away from the console. We no longer need that, now it's installed. Pull the browser up. What did I say it was on? 10.1.10.104. We have a login screen, so that's a good sign. It's a bit bigger so we can see. So the username that I was talking about is this username here. Is it TrueNAS admin, I said. Put your password in. And we're at the dashboard. So now I'll run through, I'll just give a quick overview of the dashboard. I haven't actually used TrueNAS Scale before. I've always used Core, so this is my first time installing Scale. So we'll have a look at it together. Okay, looking at the dashboard, we have system information. We can see the CPU core usage, the temperatures. Scrolling down a bit, we've got CPU usage, the current CPU model, memory. So we've got 16 gig in total, 3 of it being used by ZFS cache, but we haven't set any storage or anything up yet. Got a storage overview here. Backup tasks, cloud sync to StoreJ or similar provider. We can do ZFS replication to another TrueNAS device or rsync to another server. This is our network interface. It's got 2 in this and it's looking at the wrong one for some reason. And then if you do need any help, we've got TrueNAS documentation site and TrueNAS community forum. And then you can join the newsletter as well. With that, the first thing that we should do is check for updates. So we're good. Current version 25.10. System is up to date. If we need to do a manual update, then see manual image installation guide. We've got a couple of update profiles, early adopter, on developer. So developer says developer software with new features and bugs alike. Allows users to contribute directly to the development process. Early adopter, pre-release access to new features and functionality of TrueNAS software. Some issues may need workarounds, bug reports, or patience. Nice. Not sure why this is disabled, as I'm new to TrueNAS Scale. But general and mission critical are currently disabled. So we're up to date. Whenever you install a system, the first thing you want to do is get it up to date. Take a look at general settings. So we've got an add license button. So if we need to add a license, we can go ahead and paste that in this box. The system overview, we'll file a ticket, save debug. GUI settings, what have we got under here? Different themes. Sorry if I'm making you have a seizure. So you got your various themes. We'll just stick with the original IX Dark, GUI certificate, web interface IPv4 address, so bind address, IPv6 bound address, the HTTP port. So did it not redirect me? No, it didn't. So we're listed on HTTP port 80 default port and HTTPS 443. We can select the HTTPS protocols, and you're probably going to want web HTTP interface redirect to 443 to give you a secure login. We have collect usage information and UI error reporting. So I'm going to help them and leave that ticked. If you're doing this in production, you might want to untick it. We'll display some console messages as well. We'll go ahead and continue. Need to restart the web service for the redirect to take effect. Okay, there we go. So now it's redirected, and that's what the certificate was for. So you can put your own certificate in or stick it behind a reverse proxy, whichever you're going to do. TrueNAS admin, did I put a wrong password in? Yup, my fingers don't know what they are doing. Where was we? We was in general settings. So they're the web interface settings. Localization, so we're set to America, LA. That's not going to do me any good in the UK. So we'll click settings. English EN is fine. I'm going to change that to English UK, Great Britain. This should be Europe, London. We'll set the date format to however you prefer. Then you can set the time format. So by default, it's 24 hours. If you can't read 24 hours, you can drop it to 12. Okay, so Army time's updated. November 19th, 7:46. And if we look at email settings, this is where we can change the method. So these are for notifications from TrueNAS. So we can use SMTP, Gmail OAuth, or Outlook OAuth. Put in your from email address, from name, outgoing email server, the port, and whether it requires encryption, and SMTP authentication. So I'm not going to do that just yet. I think that's what all we've got to do in general settings. Let's move on to advanced. And what do we have here? So console settings, if for some reason you're accessing this over a serial console. If you do, then you might want to change the speed. It's set at 9600 BPS. MOTD banner. Got syslog settings. So use fully qualified domain name for logging, info level, add syslog server, and include audit logs. So using that, we can send our logs to Greylog or something like that. Got audit configuration, so retention, we'll be able to change that. Kernel configure, so you can enable kernel debugging if you need to. Probably not going to need to do anything like that. Scrolling down a bit, we have cron job, so we can add a new cron job in. We've got initialization and shutdown scripts, so we can add new scripts. It's just basically running a command on startup or shutdown. We have sysctl overrides, so type sysctl UDEV ZFS, and you can do manual overrides there. You don't need to do any of this. I'm just having a look through the interface. As I say, I haven't seen TrueNAS Scale at all. Not a single version of it. Replication, so replication task limit. And you'll notice we have this exclamation mark in a circle, so we can click on that and it'll tell you what it does. So maximum number of replication tasks being executed simultaneously. Access, so session timeout. I'm going to change that to an hour because it annoys me, keep logging me out. Login banner if you want that. Or we can terminate sessions. Allowed IP addresses. I assume this is restricting IP addresses to the, So IP addresses and networks that are allowed to use API and user interface. If this list is empty, then all IP addresses are allowed to use this API and user interface. So in production, you probably want to specify that to a specific API. And then we've got global two-factor authentication. It's disabled, but we can enable it. So enable two-factor authentication globally, and you can enable it for SSH as well. I do like it has some nice secure options. So some of these are quite new to me. So isolated GPU devices, and you can select a GPU and pass it through. Yeah, it's fine. I think we're done in there. Let's move on. So I am going through these fairly quickly. Say just because I'm just setting this up for myself. Right, so network interfaces. What options have we got here? We can reset the configuration. We can edit them, which allows us to change the name, give it a description, get IP address automatically, define static IP addresses. So I'm actually going to set this. You don't have to. You can leave it on DHCP and reserve the lease in the router or whatever you want to do. So I'm going to put this on 10.1.10.2. It's going to be 24. So that's my LAN, 10.1.10.2/24. Auto configure IPv6. It's disabled anyway, so it makes no difference. And then we can change the MTU if we wanted to adjust it to jumbo frames or anything. Click save. Okay, so set the gateway and gateway. Set the gateway and DNS. So new IPv4 default gateway. This is picked up from what it is at the moment. Primary DNS server. It's automatically picked that up. I'm just going to register that. So that's done. We can do test changes. So at this point, it's going to throw me off because the IP address has changed. So I need to go to HTTP 10.1.10.2. Advanced. Let me close that other window. I need to get into this pretty quickly. So TrueNAS admin. And go to network settings. And then save settings. So it does that just in case you're locked, to help prevent you locking yourself out. So then we've got network configuration here. So host name, TrueNAS. You change that. Host name, yep. So give a new host name. Domain name. Your DNS servers, that's all right. Outbound network activity. There's a lot more. Looks like there's a lot less features in core, but there seems to be a lot more options. So outbound activity. Allow all, deny all, allow specific, allow all, accept. So we do have some security rules here. We've got HTTP proxy, hostname database, additional hosts to be appended to etc. hosts, separated by separate entries by pressing enter. Oh, okay, so it's just hosts that you want to add to the host table. Under service announcement, NetBIOS name for Windows, MDNS, and WS discovery. So we can leave all this as is. Okay, so that's changed. I think we're done on that page. There's no way to make this default for the dashboard. Probably need to edit the dashboard for that. So this one isn't used, this DMP6. Anyway, moving on. Oh, I did miss. For some reason, you need to add static groups. You can do that here. But as I said, moving on. Now, boot environments. Surprised to see these here. I thought this was a FreeBSD thing. So you can see 25.10. So before we make any changes or do any upgrades, we can create a snapshot. If anything goes pear-shaped, then we can boot into the previous boot environment and try again or fix the issue. So that's fairly straightforward. We can clone them, keep, but we can clone as well. We've got these options: scrub boot pool status, and stats and settings up here. Anyway, let's move on. Services. So this is obviously where you can set up FTP, iSCSI, NFS, SMB, so Samba, SNMP, SSH, or UPS services. I'm guessing this just allows us to change the ports. Yep. So timeout, number of clients, port number, iSCSI settings, NFS. So we can bind the NFS to a specific IP if we want to. Choose protocols and any other options that we want to add. NFS v4, DNS domain. We can require Kerberos for NFS version 4 if you want to be more secure. Allow non-root mount and manage group server side. NVMe global configuration. Not sure what that is. SMB settings. So NetBIOS name. What did I call it? Onshore. Alias. Work group. Choose what you want for that. And then I'm going to put TrueNAS Scale server because we've got loads of TrueNAS servers. We can enable SMB version 1 and NTLM version 1 authentication. You're probably not going to want to do that. And then UTF-8 character sets. And this stuff you're not really going to need to change. SSH, again, change the SSH port, allow password authentication, allow TCP port forwarding, and then UPS settings. So let's move on. Services we've just done. Shell just gives us a web shell. Moving on again, alert settings. So we've got alert type and category. So this is where you can specify the types of alerts that you want to receive. And now, where was it? Is it in general settings? Under here, when I said these email settings, we're going to need to change the root user's email address. So if we go to credentials, users, root, oh, it was already there, clicked, and then edit. And here we have the root details. So you're going to want to set the name and definitely set a valid email address so that you can receive notifications and alerts from TrueNAS. I'm just going to leave this for now. I'll do it when you're not looking. What else have we got? Audit settings. So this is you can just obviously view what's going on with your system. And we can export it. There's a switch to advanced mode. That's just for searching. We've got audit settings. Don't mind. That's what we looked at before. Just take you back to this advanced setting so we can configure it here. Okay, let's get some storage configured. So at the moment, I have no pool configured. So we can import a pool, which when the system boots, if it finds an existing ZFS pool, it'll list it here. and then you can import it. So that's good for recovery purposes. Disks allows you basically to wipe a disk. So these are already wiped, but you can basically, just making sure I've not wiped the wrong one. We can click on one. We can edit, so you can give them description. HDD standby, so if you want it to power down after so long, you can do. I recommend that you leave it running. Hard drives tend to last longer if you leave them running than they do by shutting them down, because of all the start-stops on mechanical drives. Then advanced power management, I'd leave that disabled as well. If we need to wipe a disk, we can hit wipe, then we can do a quick wipe, full with zeros, or full with random data. So if you was getting rid of the disks, disposing of them, selling them, whatever, you could do a secure wipe. But if you want to do a quick wipe, model wipe them pretty quickly. Let's go back into storage. And now we're going to want to create our pool. Okay, so you need to give your pool a name. I'm just going to call it tank. And you can choose encryption. I'm not going to do it here. So you can still create data sets, like child data sets that are encrypted. So we can leave that unencrypted for now. If we need to do some encryption later, we can do. If we do next, it'll take us on to data. And this is where we choose a disk layout. So this system has 4 hard drives in it. And I have a couple of ways of, I have a couple of options available to me for ZFS pools. We can stripe, and then if I just choose disk size, this just filters on hard drive types. And I can literally stripe across all 4 drives, and it'll give me 65 terabytes. I wouldn't recommend doing that because if one drive dies, you've lost everything. So our next options are mirror. So got disk size 16.37 terabytes. I'm going to set the width to 2. And then number of VDEVs to 2. Let me show you this. If we click manual selection, you can see how this works. But up here, you can see the raw capacity, and it says data 2 times mirror of 16.37 terabyte drives, 32 terabyte capacity. And if we do manual disk selection, and you can do this for any of the selections, this helps explain it a little better. So you can see we have 2 VDEVs in total, and then each one consists of 2 mirrored hard drives. And this is what I'm going to go with. But let's have a look at the other options for you. You can do RAID Z1 as well. So 4 drives, number of VDEVs 1. And that'll give us 50 terabytes, and then we can lose 1 drive. And then you can start dropping down to RAID Z2. I wouldn't really do that with just 4 drives, which allow you to lose 2 drives. Then RAID Z3, and then we've got DRAID, which, unless you've got lots of hard drives, like 60 plus or something, you won't need to bother about that. So it usually chooses same defaults for you. So choosing the disk size, I say this is just whether I can select my SSDs on my hard drives. So we're going 2 wide, and then 2. So I've got 2 mirrored drives striped, and it just makes it faster for reading, because I'm going to be storing YouTube videos on here. So that's what I want to go with. Log. So I'm not using anything for a log on this. So I'm just going to skip this. Spare. I don't have a spare. All the bays are full. And cache. I'm just skipping these because I've not decided what I'm going to do with the 2 NVMe drives yet. I might just make a separate pool out of them and just use them for storing media on for working with DaVinci Resolve. So we get to the bottom. You've got your final summary and the capacity. I'm just going to go ahead and create pool. So the contents of all the disks will be erased. And now we have our pool created. So we can see the VDEVs, you can see the usage. So obviously there's nothing used, we've literally just created it. Storage health. Now we can do a scrub now if you want to, not much point. The only thing you might want to change is this. You can do it to once a month, but it will give you various options. So I usually do it monthly. And you might want to change the time from 12 a.m. I'm in the UK. We have stupid things like daylight saving. So I'll trim off. We're not using SSDs. So that's fine. Look at the dashboard, see what we get. Oh, come on. Seems to do that a lot. So now we can at least see our storage pool. Okay, what should we do next? Can I fix these? Yeah, change the interface to the one that's actually working. That's better. Right, so let's actually that one's still wrong. But anyway, sort that later. Let's create a Windows share. I guess that's what you're here for, and that's what you want to do. Right, so we'll create a data set for it. Data sets. Now we can see the root data set details, and any we create. Basically, we can edit this. Advanced options. We can set sync, so it'll go faster if it's disabled. You're probably going to want it enabled because it's the way NFS write work, and it'll give you a warning when you change it. So it might not have saved something to disk, and if you have a power outage, it's going to corrupt your data. But it does work faster, so I'm going to set it to disabled for my shares. But anyway, we can take a snapshot of any of the data sets that we've got. We've got space management, so this is going to allow us to change quotas and things. And then permissions. So we can leave them as they are for the root data set. Let's go ahead and add a new data set. We'll call it data. Data preset. We're going to want to change it to SMB. And then the share name. So now it's come up and said start the SMB service because it's not running. I haven't messed with any permissions or anything at this stage. We'll try and connect to it in a second. So we can look at this in shares. And we can see that our Windows SMB service is running. We can see the Unix NFS shares and create them from here. And block SCSI. Right, so we need to create a user in order to be able to access the actual shares. So I'm going to go into credentials, users. I need to add a new user. So give it a username. And then we can specify what access. So we've got SMB access, TrueNAS access, shell access, or SSH access. I'm just going to leave that as it is. Give a password. The same passwords do not match. That's fine. You can give it additional details. Set your email, any groups that you want to be in. So I'm just going to stick myself in a Sheridan UID home directory. We've not set that up yet, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get us working. Right, so we now have our user created. Can we connect? Let me find out. SMB. So on Windows, obviously you're going to do // whatever IP address you set, and then the share name. I'm on Linux, so I'm going to have to do SMB 10.1.10.2 /data. I'll put a / on it because it tends to crash. Well, that's a Linux thing, nothing to do with TrueNAS. And the user we just created. And we're in. So can we create a folder? New folder. Create new text file. Hello world. So that's our Windows share working. I'll delete that. So back in datasets, let's create a dataset for our NFS share. So I'm going to call this media, but this time we want to leave it on generic for NFS. Now we've got advanced options. We can set quota. And what I was talking about encryption, and this works the same with the Windows shares, that we can untick inherit, and then we can actually encrypt this data set as a child data set of the unencrypted one. And you can choose your encryption type, compression, sync. Now I'm going to turn this off, but as I say, there are potential caveats of doing that. So you should be plugged into a GPS at least. So I'm leaving that as inherited. I don't want encryption on it. We've got sync disabled. I just called it media. Scroll down. I'm going to hit save. So now we've got that. We've got permissions here. And because it's NFS, I'm just going to allow everybody to write to that. You can apply recursively, but there's nothing in there. It's blank. Now we need to actually create the share. So I'm going to go to add NFS share, path, tank, media. So this is our share. And this is what we'll need to know to be able to mount it on our Linux machines, because that's the NFS export. Give a description if you want, enabled. Networks, if you wanted to restrict it to your LAN, I could do /0 10.1.10.0 /24 for 255.255.255.0, and that'll allow me to restrict it to this network. Or you can even restrict it to specific hosts. And then we can map users and stuff like that. So we'll just hit save. And again, NFS service is not started. Would you like to start it? Yes. Let me pull up a terminal window. Show mount. And -E to show the exports. And we can put the IP address in of TrueNAS. And now we can see the exported list. So I can copy that and we'll try and mount it. I'm going to need to make a directory to mount it to. So sudo make the mount media. And now we should be able to do sudo mount -T for type NFS 10.1.10.2 and then colon for a separator. Copy this path from here and then where we want to mount it to. So mount media. Ignore the FS tab warning. So now I should be able to go into mount, media, touch, test.txt. Did I not do that? And there's our test.txt. So there's NFS working. Let me pull up Dolphin. I'm going to mount, media. And now we can see our test.txt. So this has now got my media directory set up. I think that's as far as I'm going to go with this demonstration. I was actually just supposed to show you how to install it on a UGREEN NAS, but I haven't used TrueNAS Scale, as I mentioned. I've only used the FreeBSD version, which is TrueNAS Core. And unfortunately, that won't work on this system because there's no support for the 10 gig network card. So that is one of the benefits of the machine. It's got a 10 gig network card. It can take 4 hard drives and 2 NVMe drives. Okay, flick over to Amazon, decline these cookie things. So UGREEN NAS DXP4800 PLUS. So it's a 4-bay desktop NAS system running Intel Pentium Gold 8505. 5-core CPU, comes with 8 gig of RAM. This one I've upgraded to 16, and I've got a video on that. I've also upgraded the hard drives. So UGREEN sent me the NAS, and they sent me a couple of 4 terabyte hard drives, and I've replaced them with 4 18 terabytes. So with the 10 gig network interfaces that also supports 2.5 and the 2 M2 NVMe slots, 4K HDMI output, this is absolutely ideal for TrueNAS Scale. So the price in the UK is £539.99. If you're interested in purchasing some of these, I'll leave some links in the description below to Amazon. It won't cost you any more money, but it is an affiliate link and we'll get a small percentage, a very small percentage. So if you found this video useful, please give it a like to allow other people to find it. If you'd like to see more videos on both TrueNAS and UGREEN NAS, subscribe to the channel. There's lots more coming on both. If you'd like to hire us for any type of consulting, head across to SheridanComputers.com. If you'd like to support the channel in other ways, check out the links in the description below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.